Hi. I hope everything's working right now. Hi, everybody. Starting a bit late today, technical issues, but here we are, Be'ezras Hashem. Let's just dive straight in. Maseches Shabbos Daf Kuf Mem Ches Amud Beis, a very interesting topic. V'im Einoi Ma'aminoi Itmar. We're learning in the Gemara the following machloekes between Rabbi and Rav Yosef. Started yesterday. We're going to recap today. Itmar, this shir is for the Ilu and Neshama of my father, Reb Menachem Akiva, Pinchas, Aaron ben Pinchas Yehuda. Itmar, Halvas Yom Tov. A person lent a food item to his friend on Yom Tov. Many times it's not even called lending, it's basically selling on credit. Selling on credit, generally speaking, is okay on Shabbos and Yom Tov if it's something you need for Yom Tov. And you may give your neighbor, your friend. I'm not talking about wheeling, dealing. The person needs the food, and you're not allowed to say the word halva, not the word kinyan. You're not allowed to say the word mashkon. Everything has to be done in more gentle terms, and you're allowed to tell your friend, please be malve. Yeah, excuse me, mash'il. Be mash'il. Mash'il sounds something that's going to come back much earlier. Be mash'il the food to me. Then you give him the food, and he's going to pay you back either another bottle of wine or money. Now, halvas Yom Tov. So you lent your friend the food item on Yom Tov. Rav Yosef Amar lo nitna litova. Rav Yosef says that you may not ask for that in Beis Din. If the guy's giving you a hard time, he's not giving you back the wine or the money or the whatever, you cannot go to Beis Din. I mean, you could, but Beis Din will not listen. Beis Din does not deal with halvos of Yom Tov. Soon we'll know why. The Rabba Omar, Rabba, who many times argues on Rav Yosef, Rabba Omar, Nitna Litova. Rabba says, yes, Beis Din would take care of a loan that was taken on Yom Tov, and Beis Din will make sure, if you have enough proof that he really gave him the food, then Beis Din will make sure that he gives you back the money you deserve. Why is that so? The Gemara is going to explain. Rav Yosef Amar lo nitna litova. Rav Yosef says halva of Beis Din cannot be nitba, cannot be taken in Beis Din, cannot be claimed. You cannot claim it in Beis Din. Why? Di omat nitna litova osi michtav. If you say that you can go to Beis Din, if you, upon giving him the wine or the oil or the bread, the challah, the whatever, you give him, and you know, if he's going to play it hard with me, I'll be able to go to Beis Din, that would tempt you to write it down for yourself, or even according to the Tosfos who said, you're going to write a shtar. Yeah, you're going to write a shtar that make him write a shtar, I owe you so and so, and people may come to do that. They're so pressurized, they may like even forget it's Yom Tov, Chas v'Shalom. If you know that you anyhow cannot claim it back, you're just going to trust his good heart and his honesty, then there's no point in doing what? No point in writing down. You anyhow rely on him. So what's the point of writing? You rely on him. Elamai, if you don't rely on him, you rely on Beis Din, then you need it recorded. Why do people record stuff? Today we record by the phone with a machine. Why? Because you want to be able to show it to Beis Din or to the lawyer or to the media. But if you know that that's not going to help, you're not going to come to write. And Tosfos says that chash of writing is so severe that overrides even loshen she'ela or halva. It doesn't matter because you know you can go to Beis Din. So then you're going to write it down. Rabbi Omar, Rabbi argues and says, Nitna litova. Rabbi says, yes, you may claim it in Beis Din. Why? Diomat lo nitna lo yoivlei v'osi limnu simchas yom tov. Rabbi said, no. If you will not be able to take it in Beis Din, to claim it back in Beis Din, you know what's going to happen? Then he will not give him. That basically means what? You rely on the guy's good heart. You don't always know the guy. You don't know if he's going to pay you back. He may be a stranger, maybe somebody, even the nicest people gets to money. People get funny. So what's going to happen? You being unsure, will I ever get my wine back? My money's worth of the wine? Yeah, I don't know. You will not lend wine or oil or chalas or anything or eggs to people, and then the other person will not have simchas yom tov. In other words, of course, there's a chashash of writing, but according to Rabbah, the chashash is not that great and therefore the worst chashash is that people will not be able to buy food for Yom Tov, people will not be able to borrow food for Yom Tov. That's worse, because there won't be Simchas Yom Tov, and we want Simchas Yom Tov. That's a machlokas. Now we're going to have a few back and forth, between Rabbah and Rav Yosef, and then we'll Bezos Hashem say what's the halacha. Tnan, we just saw in our very own Mishnah that there is another solution to make sure you get your wine back or your wine's worth back. Im eino ma'aminoi maniach talisoi etzloi. It says in the Mishnah that if you don't believe him, who is him? You don't believe the borrower, taker. What do you say? Well, there's another solution. Take the talis, take his talis, take some kind of collateral without saying the word mashkoin. You take it as a mashkon, and good luck to you. If you don't, it's understood that if you don't give me back the wine or the money, your beautiful chic suit will stay with me. That's what the Mishnah said. It's a viable, good solution. Says the Gemara, if you say that it's lo nitna litova, if you say that it is not exactly what's lo nitna litova, like Rav Yosef, that you cannot claim it in Beis Din, makes sense. In other words, if I know that nobody will be there, I'm the lender, I'm the one giving it. If I know that nobody will be on my side, I can knock on Beis Din's door, they won't listen, right? So then what's the only solution I have? Makes sense. I'm going to tell you, listen, you want the wine? Well, I still have the power. I'm telling you, you give me your suit, give me your jacket, and they'll give you the wine, and I'll make cheshbon with you after Shabbos. Yeah? That makes sense, because there is no other way. But if you're telling me that it is something that can be claimed in Beis Din, like Rabbah, that it is okay and it's possible to take it back in Beis Din, why should you use that? Why should you use that solution of taking a collateral, which again is also a little bit of a problem in Yom Tov, right? We don't like to give mashkan in Yom Tov. Why should you use this funny kind of solution of taking mashkon, which sounds like selling, buying, business? Why should you do that? Litanly, there is a legal solution. Why do you have to pay mafia? I'll take your stuff. Why? Litanly, give him the wine without any other collateral or any other security. And if the guy, the borrower, if the one borrowing would say, I never borrowed, you'll take him to Beis Din. Why do you have to use the solution of taking something, of grabbing what he has, do it legal, and go to Beis Din? Elamai, from the fact that we see that you have to take the collateral, mashma, that's the only solution. Mashma Beis Din will not be on your side. Sounds like Rav Yosef. That sounds like we're supporting Rav Yosef from the Mishnah. Omar, says the Gemara, a pashat answer. Lebe'ina deleikum bedina v'dayana. Says the lender, the one lending, would say, no, I'm sorry. I'm not, even if Beis Din would be on my side, let's now go with Rabbah. Rabbah is now being attacked. Says Rabbah, no. Although I stand by what I say, that Beis Din will listen to the claim and will deal with it, who wants to go to Beis Din? You think you have all the time in the world to start going to Beis Din, to find a Beis Din, Dina Vedayono, and in Beis Din to find the Dayan that I want? I don't have time for this headache. I'm a busy guy. Who wants to start going to Beis Din? Who wants to play that, right? And therefore, I prefer to avoid the possibility of going to Beis Din by simply taking the law into my hands, which is legal, taking the collateral, having the collateral with me, and finished. And then all is good, right? That's pashut. Yeah. That's why. So really, both Rabbah and Rav Yosef are okay. According to Rav Yosef, the reason why you take the mashkon is because you cannot go to Beis Din. According to Rabbah, you take the mashkon because you don't want to go to Beis Din. Baruch Hashem. That's exactly the definition. So the Mishnah could work with both Rabbah and Rav Yosef. Nothing is resolved yet. Neither Rabbah or Rav Yosef came to any yet. Nobody proved the other one wrong, and therefore we still remain with machlokes. Let's remember what's a machlokes. According to Rav Yosef, you cannot go to Beis Din in order to claim your Beis Din debt, because then people may come to write down in order to record for Beis Din. Rabbah says you may go to Beis Din because if you know that you won't go to Beis Din and nobody will listen to you, nobody will care about you, you'll not lend the wine. And we want you, yes, to lend the wine and create Simchas Yom Tov. Messi Babidi Bravin. Oh, unfortunately, I don't have my chart online, but it's really very, very simple. I know from past experience, people always hear about, this end of month business, right? 29th day, 30th day, when I'm going to have Rosh Chodesh, Mola Choser, and people get confused about it. Well, this time it's really, really easy, I promise. And before we continue, I want to explain something very, very important regarding the way Rosh Hashanah used to be. In other words, today, this is a very, very important introduction. If you listen to the introduction, as is always the case, you're going to get it very, very clear. Okay, let's follow. Let's try in here. The story is as follows. Basically, nowadays, Rosh Hashanah, as we all know, is 2 days. There is a reason for it. In the times of the Mishnah, before the times of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, it's a Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah Daf Lamed Aleph. Over there, back in the day, the way it used to be, like every other Rosh Chodesh, when the 29th comes, right? Yeah, we don't know is today Rosh Chodesh, right? Or is today, in other words, every end of month, we don't know. It's the last day of the month. We don't know. Is it now the last day of the month? Or is it the first day of the next month? Depends if the Eidim will come and tell us the new moon came. So there will always be one day they did not have a set calendar. So the end of each and every month, including the end of Elul, they did not know, is it now the last day of Elul or the first day of Tishrei of Rosh Hashanah? Or the one day, Rosh Hashanah then was only one day. Is it now the end of Elul and it's a weekday? Or is it now, right? Maybe eventually the Eidim will come and show tell Beis Din they saw the moon, and now it's really Aleph Tishrei, the Yom Tov, the beginning of the next year. That was always the suffix. So now, imagine yourself Rosh Hashanah back in the day. It was a very, 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 very weird day. And that's why they changed it. Because imagine, you don't know what to do. Meaning from the first second of Rosh Hashanah, you don't know, is it now Rosh Hashanah Yom Tov? Or is it just the end of Elul? Is it a weekday or a Yom Tov? Wow, that's weird, right? The Gemara talks about it there. There was a very weird situation with a lot of crazy nafkaminas. That's why they changed the whole system for Rosh Hashanah. I'm not going there right now. So now, imagine yourself the following. You have now a day which is maybe Rosh Hashanah, maybe weekday. You don't do any melacha. I don't know, they did Kiddush and all the other questions, whatever. Eventually, let's say the day went by uneventfully, the Eidim did not come, no new moon. Then the following day is Rosh Hashanah, and retroactively, now we know that the question day was really a Yom Chol, a weekday. That's it. That's all you have to know now. Now, on top of that, imagine yourself, it's the end of, so the question, is it a Yom Tov or is it a weekday? Tomorrow we're going to know what today is, right? Retroactively, fine, retrospectively. Second issue, what happens if you, lend money and that last day is actually the last day of the Shemitah year? Okay, so now, if you lend money to someone, let's say, to just make it much clearer, the morning of the last day of Shemitah, you lend money, then, since the halacha says, according to 99% of opinions, Shemitah mishametes besoifa. Shemitah, kind of drops your debts, makes the debts null at the end of Shemitah. So if you lent money, borrowed money, last day of the Shemitah year in the morning, or lunch, or 10 minutes before Shkia, then what? No, that's it. That choiv doesn't have to be returned. It's Shemitah. Okay? However, if the day is the first day of the next year, of the 8th year, of course you have to give back the loan. The loan was already on the 8th year. Now, that questionable day, forget about Yom Tov or weekday. That's another big headache. That's not the issue right now. The issue right now, I now have a day which may be Shemitah, may not be Shemitah. Now, these days may be Yom Tov, the first day of the 8th year. Maybe it's a weekday. It's just the last day of Elul. A nice day for Cheshbon Nefesh. And Shemitah-wise, if I lend money today, either the person will have to give it back if it's the first day of the 8th year. 8th year, of course, the money has to come back, right? It's not Shemitah. If it's the end of Shemitah, you have to give back the money. Now everyone's going to scream at me, are you crazy? Who's lending money on a day that is Maybe Yom Tov, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Adin, nobody's lending money, even if it's a maybe. True, but what are we talking about all the time here? We're talking about people selling on credit or lending what? Yom Tov food. And that's exactly the case. It's time to read now the Mishnah from the end, the last parak of Shvis. Nice and slow. Yeah, as we continue talk, I'll explain more. Mesiv Ravidi Barabin. Ravidi Barabin is now challenging, yeah, and that is going to challenge Rav Yosef. Hashoichet esapora v'chilka berosh Hashanah. A person shechted a cow. That's a nice thing to do. And what did he do? He divided it and gave portions of the para, of the beef, of the meat. He gave it to different people on Rosh Hashanah. Which Rosh Hashanah? That maybe day. That day, which maybe is Rosh Hashanah of the 8th year, or maybe it's the last day of the, yeah, of the previous year, of the Shemitah year. Now, this is a loan. You're not lending money on Yom Tov, but you are lending food. Okay, so what does the Mishnah say? Very, very simple. Im hoye chodesh me'ubar, if really it's a full month, and now we know that the next day is Rosh Hashanah, and this day was really a weekday, and was the end of Shemitah. Yeah, now we know that this was the last day of the Shemitah, Meshamet. Yeah, if it came out that the real Rosh Hashanah was not today, you got it all wrong. Really, Rosh Hashanah is tomorrow. Today was the last day of Shemitah. So that loan was given on Shemitah. If the loan was given during Shemitah, it's Meshamet. A loan that was given 5 minutes before Shkia, Meshamet. Shkia, that's it. They don't have to pay him for the meat. Ve'im lav eino mishamet. But if it's not an Ibur month, if it's a short month, and today was Rosh Hashanah, if the truth is discovered, is revealed that today was Rosh Hashanah of the 8th year, eino mishamet, pay me back, right? If it came out that the loan took place on the 8th year, last time I checked, you have to pay choivas of the 8th year, and the 9th year, the 10th year. Had come the end of the Mishnah. So let's remember there are two variables here. We're talking here whether it's Shemitah or not Shemitah. It's very, very simple. If the day is Shemitah, you don't have to give it back. If the day was not Shemitah, then you have to give it back. Simple. That's it. That's all you have to know. Wait. Let's bring in the other variable. Excuse me, the Heilige of Yosef. We're attacking Rav Yosef. If you're telling me that food there was lent, which I would call sold on credit on Yom Tov, I don't care if it's Shemitah or Kvita or Shlita. Who cares? If you're telling me that any loan given on Yom Tov is not supposed to be claimed back, my Meshamet, what Shemitah is there? Anyhow, you're not supposed to give it back because it's a Yom Tov. Even though it's only a maybe Yom Tov, says Tosfos, Lamaisa, Rav Yosef didn't speak about maybe Yom Tov. Even a maybe Yom Tov. In the Havamina, a maybe Yom Tov, you're not supposed to really, pay back the money. You're not supposed to write on a maybe Yom Tov, right? And therefore, the question is very simple. Leave your cheshbonis alone, shmita, shpita, shlita. Who cares? It's a Yom Tov. That as of itself means there's no debt. Finished. You're wasting your time talking about Shemitah because that day is a possible Yom Tov, and therefore you're not supposed to give back anyways. Even if it wasn't Shemitah, even if it was the middle of the year, it's Pesach, Machpat. Answers the Gemara. 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll try and scream louder. Thank you for telling me the audio is not good. I'll try. Okay. Shiny Hossam. Over there, it's better. It's different. The Gloy Milsa Decholhu. Very simple answer. Really, over there, at the end of the day, literally, the day later, when we found out that the next day is Rosh Hashanah of Shemitah, right? And this day is what? Is a weekday. A weekday loan, of course, you're supposed to give back, even though at the time you didn't know whether it's Chol or Yom Tov. Once we have discovered the truth that really the next day is Rosh Hashanah and this day is a weekday loan, of course you have to give back. Not a question, even according to Rav Yosef. Now, Toshma, however, come and listen to the end of the Mishnah. Miseifa. What did we say at the end of the Mishnah? The second case. Im lav eino mishamet. What does it mean? Im lav eino mishamet. If it is a short month and really the what you call it, the Yom Tov was, yes, the first day of the next year of the eighth year, right? Loans of the eighth year, of course you have to pay. Frag the Gemara, if you're telling me that it's something that can be claimed, now you can't run away here. Here we're talking about a case, it's very simple. Here we're talking about the case that it was for sure Yom Tov. It was Yom Tov, Yom Tov, Yom Tov, billion%, Yom Tov, yes, and the beginning of eighth year. Rosh Hashanah, Pashut, was Rosh Hashanah of the eighth year, and you're telling me what? That Eino Meshamet. Of course, eighth year is no Meshamet. What do you mean Eino Meshamet? That's not true. Ela iomat lo nitna litova amayinu mishamet. If you're telling me that this is for sure 100% Yom Tov, you can't run away now. This is Yom Tov. What do you mean enu mishamet? What kind of nonsense is that? You just told me of Yosef that a loan given on Yom Tov, yeah, you're not supposed to claim. So why you telling me enu mishamet? Enu mishamet means that you can claim it. It's not mishamet. That's against Rav Yosef. Answers Gemara, my enu mishamet. The Bach add more words. The Yoivle Shakil. Oh, now we come to a very, very poshut answer. What do you mean there's no debt? You want to tell me? Tell me, guys. Whenever somebody borrows money from his friend, 10 shekels, 20 shekels, 1,000 shekels, it always ends up in Beis Din? Hopefully not. Hopefully not, right? Yoivle Shakil, meaning, Poshet Pshat, Ein Mishamet doesn't have to do with whether I'll end up in Beis Din or not. Ein Mishamet means that if the guy is an honest, good guy, which hopefully most of us are, and he wants to come with the money, the geld to pay for the Yom Tov meat that he bought on Rosh Hashanah, then you accept the money. That's what he means. Let's separate the stories. Rav Yosef says about Milva and Yom Tov, he didn't say that you can't claim it back ever. You can. You can't claim it in Beis Din. In Beis Din, that's what Rav Yosef said. So you shouldn't record it. Here, the issue of Shemitah, yes, Shemitah, no, it's not about Beis Din. Stam. It's coming to tell you that if the loan was in the eighth year, then the loan is a loan. And maybe you can't claim it because it was on Beis Din, because it was in Yom Tov, you can't claim it in Beis Din. Like Rav Yosef, you can still claim it Stam. If he comes to you with a big smile on his face and says, oh, thank you so much, Mr. Butcher, here is 1,000 shekels worth of meat, you accept it. Yeah? Because the loan is there. The loan is there. Mitzad what? Mitzad that it's not Shemitah. So the loan is there and you can accept it back. Zog the Gemara, wait a second. If so, let's calculate what's happening. Michlal, that is to say, the Reisha. In the Reisha is what? The case of the Reisha was that it came out that it was Shemitah. That the loan was at the last day of Shemitah. Yoevle lo shakil? You want to tell me that if the loan happened in Shemitah, this is a very good question. I want to ask you guys. A loan was given on Shemitah. And the guy is telling you, listen, I know that it's Mishamet, I'm paying you still. Are you not supposed to accept it? Why not? You are. Before Shemishna. Answers Gemara very, very simple. Reisha tzorich l'meimer le Mishamet ani. Sefer lo tzorich l'meimer le Mishamet ani. This is halacha, which means, in the Reisha, if the loan was given in Shemitah, you can't claim it in Beis Din, you can't claim it b'chlal. But if the guy in his own volition, in his own goodwill says, listen, Shemitah was Meshamet, I'm still paying you. Then you have to say Meshamet. You have to say, listen, it's Shemitah. If you still want to give it to me, give me. Yeah? In the Seifa, when the loan is not in Shemitah, and he comes and gives it to you, you grab it with two hands. There's no Meshamet, it's not Shemitah. Kedetnan, as it says in the Mishnah, and I'm going to tell you something very funny soon that it's on the Ritva of the Yerushalmi. Hamachzir choiv b'shvis. Oh, here's a source. A person wants to give back a loan, it's shvis. Really, Meikar Dinin doesn't have to pay it, but he wants to be a nice, decent guy, go beyond, his line of duty, and he wants to give the loan back, even though the loan was a Shemitah loan. How should the recipient, which is really the lender, now receiving back the loan, how should he respond? This is mamish what we're saying now. Yomer loy mishamitani. Then Mr. Lender should tell him, listen, I'm mishamit, meaning I follow halacha, and it's mishamit. I am not claiming back. I'm dropping the debt. And if the guy, the borrower who wants to give back, he says, yeah, afal pichen, I know it's Shemitah, and I nevertheless want to give you back the money, yikabel mimenu. Yikabel mimenu, then he should accept him. He's allowed to accept it. Mishum shenemar v'zeh dvar hashmita. Dvar means speech, which means Shemitah doesn't necessarily mean you don't accept the loans. It means you medaber, you tell. You tell the borrower, listen, Shemitah, yeah? And if he says, no, please, please take it, then you take it. That's all. I laughed because the Ritva quotes Yerushalmi that says that even that, I saw the Botanua says something similar. They say that you don't have to refuse too much. You can even say quietly, Mishamet, and extend your hand to receive it already. Beloshan rofa v'yad netuya. That's his loshan, something like that. In other words, you say, Shemitah, but thank you. In other words, just do it very symbolically. As long as it's some kind of symbolic general idea that I'm not being a shark over here, I'm not claiming it, bevakasha, you can give the money back from the loan. So let's summarize. So basically, what did we see now? So in the first case, the meat sale happened to be when? Happened to be on a regular weekday, which is what? Which is Shemitah. Then, if they want to pay you, great. They don't want to pay you, no, Shemitah. Very simple. Second day, but let's say it came out that you lent it on Yom Tov. Oh, on Yom Tov. So why is there an Inyan now of a Yom Tov, which is the eighth year? The eighth year, you can claim it back. Ira Yosef says not to claim it. Says Gemara, no. He said not to claim it in Beis Din. But if they give it to you, of course you accept it. Now, before we continue to the last, to mamish one more line, Rabba and Rav Yosef says the Gemara in Bava Basra Kuf Yudaled. It says there, Rabba and Rav Yosef, except for three cases, halacha is usually like Rabba. So what would be the halacha over here? Like Rabba, that you may go to Beis Din, and that's what, as far as I remember, written in Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, so yesterday, if you lend somebody wine on Yom Tov, call it lending, call it pre-sailing, selling on credit, you can say whichever English word you want. You gave him wine in order to be paid back later, and the guy's playing games with you because he saw the Gemara. So then you tell him, don't be a krum Talmid Chacham with me, and I'll take you to Beis Din. And Beis Din will listen to you. You don't have to write down anything. You can have Eidim. Yeah. Make sure before you give wine to your friend, yeah. And I come to you. This is my next door neighbor. We keep a bar. I'm not, yeah, you rely on me. You're going to get to Eidim. So basically, I think so far we're okay. No, we both return to each other. So now basically, he's a lawyer. I don't want to mess up with him. So basically, halacha is you can go to Beis Din with your Yom Tov loans. Now we're going to understand the following two anecdotes that the Gemara says. Rav Avia Shakil Mashkoino. Rav Avia, what did he do? When he lent or pre-sold people food on Yom Tov, he would take a mashkon. He would insist of taking a mashkon. He didn't say the word mashkon. He took a mashkon. Rabba Barula Mari Miarumi. Rabba Barula would even be more, so to speak, sly, and he would actually take, the Ritva says, not like Rashi, he says he took a loan and didn't give back the loan. I'll only give you back the loan when you give me back the wine. Why did they do that? You know why? Because even though halacha is like Rabba, you can go to Beis Din, they were machmir like Rav Yosef, and they didn't go to Beis Din. So instead of going to Beis Din, what's the only other solution, remedy they have? To have something in their hands. That's why they did it. Amoraim were very big tzaddikim, but they were not frayerim, as we say in Hebrew. V'chen erev Pesach. Yeah, let's just go straight to the Gemara. Don't have much time. Everything will be clear just from the Gemara itself. Amar b'Yochanan, makdish odom pischoi b'Shabbos v'chagigasa b'Yom Tov, which means, normally speaking, a Mishnah, Beit Salam Medvova Mudbeis, a person is not allowed to be makdish on Yom Tov or Shabbos. Yeah, you have a korban to bring. Normally speaking, you're not allowed to be makdish, to consecrate. That's the word. You're not allowed to consecrate, to say this is oila, this is shlomim, this is that. No, why? You're not allowed to do any halachic, anything that is detrimental halachically is not allowed to be done. Yeah, because it's like creating a new thing. Yeah, din, meiser, tvilas kelim, can't do that. What did Rabbi Yochanan say? Makdish odom pischa b'Shabbos v'chigigosa b'Yom Tov, which means Pesach is a time-bound mitzvah. Today is Erev Pesach Shechal b'Shabbos. It's Shabbos. It happens to be Erev Pesach. If you don't have a korban, you are stuck big time, right? If you don't bring korban on Pesach, what did we learn in this week's parsha? Chiyuv Kores. If you don't bring a korban, right? For no good reason. Oh, you're stuck without a korban, then Rabbanan allow you, says Rabbi Yochanan, because it's time bound, it's very pressing. You have to bring the korban today, and you don't have any korban that was a pre-mukdash before. You're allowed to do the ekdish now. Also, Chagigas Yom Tov. Chagigas Yom Tov. Now is the time to bring the chagiga. It's not so simple you can bring it tomorrow. That's a whole discussion of Maseches Chagiga, by the way. I just learned it. So now Chagiga B'Yom Tov. You have to bring the chagiga right now. So then you're also allowed to be makdish and say about Behemoth Chulin, this is hekdesh, because there's no other time. So then Chazal allow you to do that. Nemem Sayeli, let us now assume that our very own Mishnah is a support for Rabbi Yochanan, because the one who just said it is Rabbi Yochanan, he's an Amoiro. Let's see if it can be supported by a Mishnah. It says in our very own Mishnah, V'chen Erev Pesach b'Yerushalayim, Shechal Yos b'Shabbos, mamish the case. It's Yerushalayim, you came all the way from Bet Shemesh. Oh, darling, we forgot to bring a Korban Pesach. Oh, now is the time to bring Korban Pesach, and that's not it's not a laughing matter. And you're in Yerushalayim, and it's Erev Pesach, and what do you have? You go to the guy who sells Korbanos. Yeah, he sells the Shepsalach, and he's telling you, you want the Shepsalach? I don't know, you're from Bet Shemesh. Yeah, so what do? Maniach telisoy etzloy, v'notelos pischoy. You put your nice jacket, your kapite, your strimal, your fancy leather shoes, $1,000 each. Yeah, you put a collateral in his house of the merchant, the guy who sells the shepsalach, the sheep. V'notelos pischoy. Take the korban pesach, the oisim ucheshbon lacher yom tov, and then after yom tov you pay him back. I want my suit back. I want my money back. You make the cheshbon. The assumption is that korban, he was not makdishit for you. If you bought the korban today, you can call it many other nice words. You really bought it, right? If you bought the korban today, it was secular. It was chulin, and you're the one who said harei ze pesach. Good, nice. So here's a proof for Rabbi Yochanan that Pesach can be mukdash, can be consecrated on Yom Tov. Good. Says the Gemara, no, not necessarily. It's not necessarily a proof. Why? Which means that we're talking here about, up until now, I like the example I gave, it was on purpose. We thought we're talking about a soicher. You come to his shop and you buy from him. Says Gemara, that's not the case. We're talking here about a friend, and you go to his house, and he already has a korban, that he was already makdish before Yom Tov, yeah? And you want to join his chabura. We all know Pesach was chaburas, right? We're going to have chabura. Based on Mikdash is built, we're going to have the chabura of the evening shir, right? So let's say you're ready in Yerushalayim, yeah, Jason? And you already bought the sheep, and also you, and I'm coming later, and I'm jumping on the boat later. But it wasn't Mukdash today. You were Makdish it yesterday, and I'm joining in. But to join in also costs money. Yeah? Let's say the sheep cost 2,000 shekels, right? You paid 500 each. We still have to pay 500 each. So there's still payment, there's still wheeling dealing here, but the actual hekdesh was done. And I'm just joining with my family to the already Mukdash sheep to join in. So it doesn't prove what Rabbi Yochanan says. Because maybe the Hekdesh was done yesterday, and I'm just jumping on the bandwagon of an already Mukdash animal. So we're not against Rabbi Yochanan, but it doesn't prove he's right. Frag the Gemara, I wish we could get to the Mishnah, but we have to go to my Riv. Frag the Gemara, Banant Nan, Ein Ninel Bemer Betchila B'Yom Tov. We said, though it says in the Mishnah, you're not allowed to be Nimne, you're not allowed to start and basically join in the Chabura on Yom Tov, and that's what we're doing now. Sagt the no. Says no. Over here, because he's always every year, they're traditionally all joining the same chabura, even though he didn't really join. It's Kil already joined, right? You have, let's say, families always go on holiday together, always Pesach together for the past 30 years. You know that they're going to come. So it's Kil already came. So even though the tziruf was done today, it's not real. It's only just technical. But Betsy was done before. Frag the Gemara, Vatani. I have to finish. I'm so sorry, but I really have to finish. Remember, so Sunday we're holding the words Vatani Rabbi Yoshia. Okay? Vatani Rabbi Yoshia. What's tomorrow? No. So we'll meet tomorrow. Bezos Hashem. Tomorrow should be okay. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay? We'll meet tomorrow. Okay? Fine. I'm sorry. Okay, Hashem Yazor. Beseder, thank you very, very much, everyone. And Hatzlacha uvrocha. Kol